Well, welcome everyone to the May 16th Public Council meeting for the town of Conception Bay South. And first off, as always, the land acknowledgement. The town of Conception Bay South would like to respectfully acknowledge the territory in which we gather as the ancestral homelands of the Beothuk and the island of Newfoundland as the ancestral homelands of the Mi'kmaq and Beothuk. We also respectfully acknowledge Labrador as the traditional and ancestral homelands of the Inuit of Nitassinan, the Inuit of Nunatsiavut, and the Inuit of Nunatuavut. We strive for respectful partnerships with all the peoples of this province as we search for collective healing and true reconciliation and honor this beautiful land together. Next up, adoption of the agendas and minutes for the meeting of May 16th tonight. Someone want to move that? Moved by Councillor Butler, seconded by Councillor Barrett. All in favor? Adoption of the meeting minutes from May the 2nd, the last meeting, moved by Councillor Connors, seconded by Councillor Hillier. All in favor? We'll vote on that. Business arising from previous minutes will be dealt with at this meeting and meetings coming forward in the next few weeks, of course. Visitors, presentations, and petitions. And this evening, we don't have any visitors, but we do have a number of proclamations. And the first one is National Public Works Week, which I will read. And the theme this year for National Public Works Week is Connecting the World Through Public Works. Whereas public works professionals focus on infrastructure, facilities, and services that are of vital importance to sustainable and resilient communities and to the public health, high quality of life, and well-being of the people of Newfoundland and Labrador. And whereas these infrastructure, facilities, and services could not be provided without the dedicated efforts of public work professionals who are engineers, managers, and employees from provincial and municipal governments and the private sector, who are responsible for rebuilding, improving, and protecting our nation's transportation, water supply, water treatment, and solid waste systems, public buildings, and other structures and facilities essential for our citizens. And whereas it is in the public interest for the citizens, civic leaders, and children in Canada to gain knowledge of and to maintain a progressive interest and understanding of the importance of public works and public works programs in their respective communities. And whereas the year 2023 marks the 63rd annual National Public Works Week, sponsored by the American Public Works Association and the Canadian Public Works Association, be it now resolved that I, Darren Bent, Mayor of Conception Bay South, do hereby designate the week of May 21st to May 27th, 2023 as National Public Works Week. And I urge all of the people to join with representatives of the Canadian Public Works Association and government agencies in activities, events, and ceremonies designed to pay tribute to our public works professionals, engineers, managers, and employees, and to recognize the substantial contributions they make to protecting our national health, safety, and quality of life. That's a very long proclamation, but it's also a very important one. And just let me tip my hat to the public works employees and staff we have here with the town of Conception Bay South. I just think back to a couple of Saturday nights ago, there was an incident on one of the streets, and then for the bother for me was a few texts and a couple of phone calls, but there was a public works crew out on the scene within an hour, and they were working there that night. And I think they did work the next day and possibly the week following to help concerns of residents. And that's the staff that we have here in Conception Bay South. They're ready to go when there's a need for our residents. And I want to thank them, and our engineering director, Jennifer Norris, please pass along our thanks to you and of course to all your staff and the people in public works that make sure that we got good, clean water, that our garbage is picked up, and all the things that you don't see happen so that you don't have to worry about what comes out of the tap or the work that goes on in our town, including our roads, the infrastructure that we have to maintain and replace and so forth. There's lots to do in public works in Conception Bay South and everywhere else. So thank you very much for that. Okay, next up is a proclamation of Early Childhood Educators Week, and I believe Councillor Butler has that.
Thank you, Your Worship. Proclamation of Early Childhood Educators Week 2023. Whereas the Association of Early Childhood Educators of Newfoundland and Labrador represents those working in childcare and related fields throughout the province, and Whereas early childhood educators provide developmentally appropriate care and education to children from birth to age 12 in a variety of settings. And whereas such care and education fosters the social, emotional, cognitive, and physical growth and development of these children and supports families in a variety of ways. And whereas this support of children and families ensures the future health of our society. Therefore, I, Christine Butler, Counselor, hereby proclaim the week of May 28th to June 3rd, 2023 as Provincial Early Childhood Educators Week. Thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you, Councillor Butler. And now National Health and Fitness Day, Councillor Moores.
Thank you, Mayor Bent. National Health and Fitness Day. Whereas the Parliament of Canada wishes to increase awareness among Canadians of the significant benefits of physical activity and to encourage Canadians to increase their level of physical activity and their participation in recreational sports and fitness activities. Whereas it is in Canada's interest to improve the health of all Canadians and to reduce the burden of illness on Canadian families and on the Canadian healthcare system. Whereas many local governments in Canada have public facilities to promote the health and fitness of their citizens. Whereas the Government of Canada wishes to encourage local governments to facilitate Canadians' participation in healthy physical activities. Whereas the Government of Canada wishes to encourage the country's local governments, non-government organizations, the private sector, and all Canadians to recognize the first Saturday in June as National Health and Fitness Day and to mark the day with local events and initiatives celebrating and promoting the importance and use of local health, recreational sports, and fitness facilities. Whereas declaring this first Saturday in June to be National Health and Fitness Day will further encourage Canadians to participate in physical activities and contribute to their own health and well-being. Therefore, I, Shelley Moores, Councillor of the Town of Conception Bay South, proclaim June 3rd, 2023 National Health and Fitness Day in Conception Bay South.
Thank you, Councillor Moores. Recreation Month, Councillor Tilley.
Thank you, Your Worship. Following is a proclamation for Recreation Month. Whereas the community of Conception Bay South recognizes that recreation enhances quality of life, active living, and lifelong learning, helps people to live happier and longer, develops creativity, and builds healthy bodies and positive lifestyles. And whereas recreation provides opportunities for personal growth and development for people of all abilities and can be especially helpful to people living with disabilities. And whereas our parks, open spaces, and trails ensure ecological sustainability, provide space to enjoy nature, help maintain clean air and water, and preserve plant and animal wildlife. And whereas recreation is an important contributor to community economic development, which creates jobs, fosters tourism, and makes communities more attractive places in which to live, learn, work, and play. Therefore, the community of Conception Bay South does hereby proclaim the month of June to be Recreation Month.
Thank you, Councillor Tilley. And the final one, Pride Month, Councillor Barrett.
Thank you, Your Worship. June is Pride Month, whereas the rainbow pride flag is raised in celebration of Pride Month and to honor 2S LGBTQIA+ community members of the town of Conception Bay South. The colors of the flag represent the diversity of the 2S LGBTQIA+ community. The color red signifies life, orange is healing, yellow is sunlight, green represents nature, blue symbolizes serenity, peace, and harmony, and purple represents spirit. And whereas June is Pride Month, to recognize and commemorate the Stonewall Uprising in June 1969 in New York City, which sparked the social movement for human rights of lesbian and gay people. And whereas during Pride Month, the world's 2S LGBTQIA+ communities come together to celebrate sexual diversity and the freedom to be themselves, to overcome prejudice and be accepted for who they are. And whereas Pride Month is a movement to protest discrimination and violence, to promote dignity, equal rights, self-affirmation, and a way of increasing awareness of the issues the 2S LGBTQIA+ people face. And whereas Pride Month raises awareness and understanding of the 2S LGBTQIA+ community while promoting equity, inclusivity, and a greater acceptance of diversity. And whereas the town of Conception Bay South is honoring Pride Month as June 2023 to support recognize, and celebrate contributions and diversity of the 2S LGBTQIA plus people to our communities. And therefore, I, Joshua Barrett, Councillor of the Town of Conception Bay South, do hereby proclaim the month of June 2023 to be Pride Month in the Town of Conception Bay South and encourage residents to commit to continuing awareness, inclusion, and acceptance for all members of our community, regardless of gender, identity, race, age, and beliefs. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Barrett. And of course, on June 1st, we'll proudly raise the pride flag here in the town of Conception Bay South. And thank you, folks, for reading those. So the next up for grabs is new business, but I'm going to start on the other side of the room with the deputy mayor, and we'll go around the circle this way today. So Deputy, you're first up.
So the other side, I didn't know which side you meant. That's the other side.
They've already had their say.
They've already had their say. Okay. All right, new business. I just wanted to mention that last Tuesday evening, May the 9th, I had the pleasure to attend the end of evening event for the Spirit of Alex and Raleigh birthday celebration food drive. And this is in support of the CPS Paradise Food Bank. And as we all know, this is a celebration of Alex and Raleigh Mercer's birthdays. Louise and Byrne Mercer's children that we all know. This is in their memory, and it's a huge celebration. And it was the support was absolutely amazing. I mean, even in these challenging times of unprecedented inflation and the cost of groceries being so incredibly high and so many people struggling, the support from the community was amazing. And there were pallets and pallets of food, bags and bags of groceries. They had well over $5,000 in cash and gift card donations. It was estimated that there would be over 400 families that would benefit, 400 families that would benefit, that are in need, that would benefit from all of these donations. And I just want to say a couple of thanks to the volunteers and the Salvation Army, which hosts this and put in a lot of work. And here in the town staff helped out. We had our fire department throughout the day that were collecting food donations from schools, and they were down at the end of the day helping load up the food. And it was quite a wonderful event, even in the sadness of the spirit of the two children that are no longer here. There's a huge celebration that brings the community together and really, really does something good for the common good of the community. And I'm just moved every time I go to one of these events, whether it's the toy drive or the food drive. It's really, really moving. It makes me really proud to be a resident of Conception Bay South. And the only other thing I want to mention is that the upcoming weekend is the long May weekend, and it's the weekend that gets people going. Some are going camping, some are going fishing, heading to the country, wherever it takes people to so many places. Some people will be hanging around home and working in their yards and cleaning up. Forecast is looking pretty good, so we're going to be really optimistic, and hopefully that'll come through. And I just want to wish everyone a very happy and safe May 24th weekend. That's it for me.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Councillor Hillier.
Yes, Your Worship. Excuse me. Earlier this week, I received an email from a resident concerned about the lack of housing for seniors in the town. I'm wondering if the town was involved with helping to alleviate that concern. And I know we've all heard that from residents around town. We all know people who are living as single seniors in the old family home and can't get out and have nowhere to go, nowhere to move in. So I guess the answer is yes. We as a council, as individuals, we are aware of those issues. What we can do about it as a council is maybe very little, but we have encouraged certainly over the years our developers to get involved in seniors housing. We've tried to develop an environment whereby seniors housing and developers can more easily fill that niche. And yes, we know that there are several developments in the hopper coming forward, and we ask our residents to watch out for those as they come to fruition. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Hill. You're absolutely right. And, you know, seniors housing, affordable housing, and it's kind of make you wonder in this economy, what's affordable housing anymore and who can afford it? And that's a really difficult thing, especially with the interest rates. So it's encouraging our developers and working with planning like you're doing and so forth to try to get more mixed housing in our community is absolutely something we got to continue to do. Okay, Councillor Connors.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, a couple of things I want to mention tonight. First is I wanted to do a shout out and to Christine Rowe, who organizes the Frank Roberts Junior High hockey tournaments. I don't know exactly how many years she's been doing this, and I guess she has a committee around her, but Christine is the driving force behind it. And I just wanted to mention that this is a 26-team tournament, 20 male teams, 6 female teams. They introduced the female division last year, and with 87 plus games, I think 87 games, probably including the playoffs. And that's a huge undertaking. That's probably one of the, I would say probably the largest tournament, ice hockey tournament in Newfoundland. Like, I don't know of any other tournaments that have 26 teams participating. And she's been doing this for a long time. And I just wanted to throw out a big thank you to her for doing that. And hopefully it will continue on. As the deputy mayor mentioned, this is the May 24th weekend coming up. It's the beginning of camping season, as she said. Some people even say it's the beginning of summer, but we'll wait for the weather to warm up before we determine when the beginning of summer is. But also with this, as the weather warms up, people start using their ATVs a bit more. And I just wanted to speak about some of the ATV uses in our town. I'm very, very pleased that the town recently started a social media campaign promoting ATV usage, the new off-road regulations, and especially around the safety part of it. There's some really good information in that social media campaign that that the town has developed. So I look forward to and hope residents benefit for that. But I wanted to point out under the new regulations that anyone who holds a valid driver's license or is supervised by someone who holds a valid driver's license is wearing the proper safety equipment, their bike is registered and insured, they're allowed to drive along 1 kilometer of the regulation says highway, but it's actually streets or roads, and that includes streets or roads in Conception Bay South. So I want people to recognize that this is under the new regulations, it's provincial regulations, and that you can do it. But I want to make sure everybody's doing it safely, and they're doing it under the guidelines and the regulations, as opposed to there you have to drive along, you have to go in less than 20 kilometers an hour, you have to yield to traffic or pedestrians. And so that's what I hope everybody follows. And you have to be going to from a trail to a trail or going to an approved area, right? So you can't just get on the road and just drive. You have to be going to an approved area, approved trail. And there's lots of areas, wooded areas, pole lines, woods roads and stuff like that where people can travel there. Historical trails. So just wanted that and to let people know that. I also wanted to mention that with increased people moving on May 24th weekend, increased use of ATV traffic means increased police presence. So it's extremely important to ensure that you're abiding by all the rules and wearing all the safety equipment and as required, helmets, etc. Safety on our roads, very, very important. This time of year and off-road vehicle, everyone's responsible for their own safety. So I think that as responsible ATV riders, you want to ensure your safety and the safety of others. And of course, it has to be said, but and there's a lot that can be said about it, but no one should be riding an ATV or any type of motorized vehicle while impaired. So I'm not going to go into that. I'm just going to say that I hope that people are smart enough to and responsible enough to not operate any vehicle impaired. And one thing that I wanted to follow up on for ATV use is that in the next week or so, not next week or so, next few weeks, residents will see that we're going to start doing some rezoning for the ATV, the proposed ATV trail. Crown land application is still moving through the system, and there's some land that we need to rezone for the trail, and that process will start in a couple of weeks. And other than that, like the deputy mayor, I'd like to wish everybody a happy and safe May 24th weekend.
Thank you, Councillor Connors. Yes, and with regards to the ATV postings that we have on social media, the link is there so anybody can access the regulations and especially the safety regulations. And I still call them the new ATV regulations, but they're actually probably a year ago this week, or maybe a week ago, so a year old for sure. But it's really important that people brush up on that sort of thing so that they know what it is they're supposed to be doing when they're on their ATVs and to do it safely. Councillor Barrett.
Thank you, Your Worship. I've had a few queries now over the past few months about playgrounds in Conception Bay South, and hearing from residents, oh, I moved to subdivision X, Y, or Z. I was supposed to have a playground. Where is it? Those types of things. And so I wanted to take a couple of minutes to speak to the town's approach when some of these things evolve. And so open space and playground development within subdivisions are considered along with the unique circumstances of each development proposal for a subdivision. By way of example, the town has an option of accepting land cash for open space purposes within a proposed subdivision. And so this actually happens fairly frequently, as opposed to, the establishment of a playground or whatever, we can accept cash. And a decision to accept land for open space is made considering many factors, which include the size of the subdivision, the demographic target for the proposed subdivision or development, the availability of usable land for open space purposes, the impact on operations and maintenance for any open space land that might be acquired, any existing open space amenities in the general area, and guidance from the town's recreation and cultural master plan, which we passed earlier this year. And so the CAS option is calculated at 10% of the pre-development land value. And so all of this CAS received by the town for this purpose is set aside in the town's open space fund. And the town also collects, in addition to this 10%, the town collects $400 for every lot within subdivisions, regardless of whether the town acquires land or cash. So in addition to subdivisions, it's also worth noting the town receives $2.50 per square meter of floor in new commercial, industrial, or institutional development within the town. And so all of that money that we get from that is also allocated to the town's open space fund. And so I guess brass tacks, what is this fund used for? So monies in this fund are used to finance development and replacement of open space infrastructure. So this could include playground equipment. And recently we've been using this fund to fulfill the town's contribution requirement for infrastructure and development of the community park in downtown Conception Bay South. So that's really where a lot of this particular funding has gone. When we get the money from a contractor developing a subdivision. I should know, for residents that are inquiring to me and other councilors, regarding a playground in their area or playground maintenance or upgrades. We are in the process of developing a priority list for playground upgrades across the town. And we're hopeful that with this list and the completion of our new community park, we don't need to use this open space fund to a great extent for our new park much in the future. We're hopeful that we might be able to use these funds for new playground or playground upgrades in budget 2024. So I just want to keep folks inform folks of some of the processes we do in the town when it comes to playgrounds. I know there can be some miscommunication out there and some frustration as a homeowner regarding proximity to a certain playground that you thought might be there or whatever the case is. So yeah, that's it for me tonight. Thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you, Councillor Barrett. Councillor Morris.
Thanks, Mayor Bent. First off, I wanted to mention that the town CBS is following the No Mow May again this year, which is where we pause mowing during the month to allow flowers to bloom and help early season pollinators and increase the number of bees. So you will notice that there's signs placed throughout the community, right, Councillor Tilly? And these are just to make you aware of what areas aren't being mowed, and so you're aware of why they're not being mowed. Also, participation community challenge. So we all know that a lot of people in CBS are very competitive, and especially around this council. So this year, in the celebration of the town's 50th anniversary, we are vying for the title of Canada's most active community in the Participation Community Challenge. Along with winning the title, we can win $100,000 for recreation for our town. We don't really care about that. We just want to win, really, is the number one thing. We really thought we were going to get last year and we didn't. So this year we are asking everyone to download the app, and from June 1st to 30th, track all your fitness. It's very self-explanatory. All the information's on our website. So please check it out, and let's push CBS to win this challenge. And speaking of challenges, we also have the 3-hour challenge sponsored by Tim Hortons, is set for June 10th. Sign up to clean and tidy an area of your town from 9 to 12 p.m. on June 10th. All the information is on the website. We will provide each cleanup group with t-shirts, gloves, and bags to help with their cleanup. We will also arrange for the garbage to be picked up afterwards. The deadline to register is Friday. After the event, there will be a community rally with lots of fun activities at the Conception Bay South Arena from 12 to 2. And of course, we want to give a big thank you to the annual event sponsor, Tim Hortons, for the contribution in making this event happen. We also have event sponsors, the Shoreline, the Newfoundland Labrador Credit Union, who are supporters again for the 2023 event. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Morris. I'm a little reluctant to say too much about the community challenge, the participation community challenge, because last year I did some media about it saying we're gonna get it. We're gonna win it this year. And a town with 465 people beat us. So I don't know how that happened. I think maybe there should be an investigation. But our own new rec director heard me on the radio and vowed then that his town was going to beat us because we spoke out about it too much. But we'll be sharing a lot of stuff on social media and so forth. And we want to get as many residents as possible to log their steps in June, because there's no possible way, despite the numbers last year, that we were not the most active community in the province. It's not possible in my mind. But anyway, the more people that get involved, just download the app and every day put in your steps, however they may be. Put them in and let them add up and see if we can win this thing this year. I think we finished 7th overall last year, behind some smaller places. But anyway,
Sorry, just to add to that, I know that and to participate also.
yeah, schools, community organizations, everybody. Yeah, absolutely. That's fantastic. Okay, Councillor Butler.
Thank you, Your Worship. Well, I have no doubt that Gary and Judy will be doing their steps for June, because there's no one walks as much as they do. Just wanted to shout out to Shoreline for doing just a great story on them. Had their pictures on the front page, and they were pretty pleased about it too. They sent me a message, and the story was fantastic. It was much more to it than I had mentioned, and I'm so glad that Craig reached out to him and they had the story done. May 4th, I attended the job fair that was hosted by the Rotary Avalon Northeast and the Holy Spirit High School. And they had 15 employers represented there. This was their first time trying this, and it was specifically for the Queenie and Holy Spirit High students. So what it was, when they came in under certain periods that they had for that morning, and they went around and spoke to employers that they might be interested in working with for the summer or beyond. And a lot of them did have their resumes actually in hand, and they were taking resumes. And I walked around and met with a lot of them, and a lot of resumes were actually passed in. And I'm hoping that maybe a few jobs came out of it for the students from the two schools. And speaking with the Rotary there, they're going to see how it worked out, and if it seemed to be something that they might be able to do next year, if it went off really well this year, they're going to check that out, and maybe next year they'll have it a little bigger. I attended the Ageless, a night of sketch comedy for Theater CBS. It was fantastic. It was a bunch of different little sketches all about aging and to do with memory. And there was some really good little ones there that were sort of, you had to take one way or another. It was entirely up to yourself. So I don't know if anybody else here attended, but I certainly enjoyed it. I took 3 of my girlfriends along with me, and we made an evening of it, and we really enjoyed it. I dropped in on Louise and Bernie the morning of SOAR, and had a chat with them, and Matthew was there, and Matthew was looking for the mayor as usual. And so I had a fine chat with them, and they're just so pleased, every year, I mean, such a tragedy. And for this to come out of it, as Councillor Goss was saying, Deputy Mayor, sorry, not Councillor, it's always such a big event, and people just step up. It's just so wonderful. One more. Oh, yes, the Senior Spring Fling. Well, now, I think it was about 220 people. It was the largest one we've ever had. What a crowd of people was there. And compliments to the staff, to the volunteers, and there was compliments given to the staff and the volunteers and to myself about how well organized it was. And I mean, it was a big undertaking, and we worked hard, and Councillors Tilley and Councillor Hillier were also there, and they were serving up the fruit and passing around the soup and that. And so we had a wonderful time. And I thank Carla and Natasha because they always do such a great job. That's it, Your Worship.
Thank you, Councillor Butler. Councillor Tilley.
Thank you, Worship. I just want to add to Councillor Butler's comments on the seniors event last week. Myself and Rex, we were diligently looking at the lineup. And of course, as the line got down, we were counting our fruit shish kebabs. And so, of course, it worked out that we were short one. But we were lucky enough that the last 2 people were sisters in the line, so they decided to share theirs. So it was a good end of that story. I just want to bring up one other thing. I had the opportunity today. I was traveling on Redbridge Road, and I noticed that our town crews are starting to assemble all of our speed bumps in our, I guess, our high tourist recreation areas. So just that means 2 things. One, summer's coming, and number 2, with summer, we see a lot more pedestrian traffic, especially on Redbridge Road and Chambers Road, the areas where we got our high tourism and recreation facilities. So I just want to make people be aware that, folks, we still do have speed limits on our by roads, and we kindly ask that you respect them and watch out for pedestrians on not only these roads, but on any road in CBS. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Tilley. Yeah, I texted you on the day of the spring fling to ask if there was any soup left. There's about an hour in. You said not a stain in the bottom of the pot, so I didn't make it after that. But anyway, just a couple of things, actually more than a couple. Seems to be a long night of this tonight, but anyway, just want to shout out to the St. Peter's Parish Men's Club, celebrated their 25th anniversary this past week. I was fortunate enough to go down and present a certificate on behalf of the town to them for the community outreach that they do and the work that they do as an organization. So congratulations to St. Peter's. Also, I was honored to be able to lay a wreath on behalf of the town at the ceremony for the Battle of the Atlantic out here at the Monument of Honor. Of course, the longest running battle of the entire war, and one of the probably the most valuable, of course, that kept the supply lines open between our continent and Europe, and helping the Allied forces. So there was a number of different things honored at the battle and Battle of the Atlantic ceremony, and it was great to see that happen as well. And thank you to our Legion Branch 50 for organizing. The spirit of Alex and Riley, yes, everybody has spoken about this. Deputy Mayor did a great job summing it all up. Somewhere around $6,000 in cash and a few £1,000s of food is always wonderful. And I thank Bernie and Louise for doing this selfless act every year. This is the 10th annual, and and helping out the food bank. I also want to thank the Salvation Army group here for hosting it, and thank Chief Heffernan and the fire department is always picking up food at the schools and bringing it to the facility. And this year, for the first time, thank you to our rec department for a couple of folks in a truck down to help get it from the gathering area up to the food bank. So the shelves are filled up there, and that's great. And one thing the deputy mayor did mention was we didn't drop up in the morning, Councillor Butler. We dropped up in the evening, and deputy mayor and we lifted a few boxes out of that facility and into the trucks ourselves. Hey, for about an hour or so. So it was great to help out that way as well. So yeah, and a lot of people did, and it's one of the things that we noted, though, that at one of the tables there to help with the carrying of the food were not only Bernie and Louise, former citizens of the year in Conception Bay South, but our current citizen of the year, Noreen Taylor, was there, and a nominee from this year. So it was no wonder that these people get recognized for the work that they do in our community. They were there helping carry the groceries out to the trucks to get them to the food bank for that event. Just a couple other things I wanted to touch on, and over the past few weeks, maybe 2 or 3 weeks, maybe a little longer, there's been some vandalism in different areas of the town. I know local school had some vandalism. I know that some different public spaces, and one of them was our community park. And this had happened before, but this most recent incident, I'm very pleased to say that we've captured video of the people doing the deed. And not only do we have video of them, we actually are able to get photos of at least one of the individuals, identifiable photos. We have turned all of this over to the Royal Newfoundland Constabulary, and the Royal Newfoundland Constabulary are seeking out the culprits. And I can tell you on behalf of tax-paying residents that have to pay for the installation and the upkeep and the fixing of the vandalism, that I hope that they are successful in finding the people that do this damage and bring them to some sort of justice. But I want everybody to know that we do have the video, we do have the photographs, and the police have it as well, and they're doing their investigation. So I wish them the best in that, and they can bring this to a quick close and maybe cut down on some of the stuff that's happening in Conception Bay South over the last little while. The other thing that I wanted to touch on this evening was Frank Roberts Junior High School. And I know that everybody around this table has heard from some concerned parents. I think even possibly some staff from Frank Roberts Junior High over the past 2 or 3 weeks. A lot of it has to do with, issues involving rodents, and some of it is just a general repair or disrepair of this school that was built, I believe, in the late 1960s. And many feel that it's served its purpose, it's done its time, and it should be replaced. Well, as a council, we support the call for the school board and the province to review Frank Roberts Junior High with an eye to replacing it, and certainly to do any remediation necessary to give students the best atmosphere in which to learn. This town has grown since 1969. I couldn't tell you. Maybe Councillor Hillier might be able to tell us how big we've grown, but it's been substantial. And it continues to grow. I think we're around 28,000 people now. And, and our schools have been here for a long time, most of them, and they've served their time. And we would like to see a review of the entire school system within our community with an eye to the need and the population growth, in all the areas. I mean, we're the second largest municipality in the province, and we are bursting at the seams and have been for years in some of our facilities. But certainly we support a review of Frank Roberts Junior High with an eye to replacement, and we support the calls for that, and we are willing to offer any help or consultation with any agency that is looking for that support in doing that work. So that, I believe, is it for me this evening. And now we will get on to the people's business. And we do that by starting with recommendations of the Planning and Development Committee, Counselor and Chair Rex Hillier.
Thank you, Your Worship. And yes, in regards to Frank Roberts, I was proud to be first grade 9 class in a brand new school in 1969. And at that point in time, people said, why are they putting a school way the heck in there? Nobody will ever live on Foxtrot Access Road. But obviously, as you say, we've grown and expanded since then. Yes, Your Worship, our planning report for tonight. Before I get on with the report, I wish to table the Commissioner's report for rezoning at 240, 250, 258 Anchorage Road, which was completed, dated May 11th, but comes from a public hearing held back in April. And really what's happening there is we've been asked to rezone a piece of property from R1 to a combination of R2 and open space conservation. The report is a fairly comprehensive report. Some things in there that really the Commissioner is not letting us off the hook on, and some things there that he would like to see as the development moves forward. Just want to go through a couple of the items. He references Cross Creek, which is a brook that runs through the property. This amendment provides for development of a 15-meter buffer or open space conservation where Cross Creek passes through the property. In the past, development which was taking place within that 15-meter of Cross Brook will no longer be permitted. So officially, there will be a buffer along Cross Brook. He suggests that council should consider doing a flood risk mapping of the area, and that will be part of a land use impact assessment report prior to any development taking place there. We know that there's been flooding in the area. The residents certainly expressed their concerns about flooding in the area. The Commissioner recommends that the town set up a registry of flood complaints to track over time the flooding that takes place there. He's recommending at the development stage that the use of zero net increase in stormwater runoff will not contribute to any further flooding in the area, which I know, as I said, was a concern with residents. And he talks about some specific concerns that residents brought forward that need to be dealt with at the development stage, such as the topography of the site, any possible connection at Minerals Road, fish habitat, and impact on private wells. In the end, he recommends from the report is that the town proceed with the rezoning. So bring forward this report. Council will use it to inform its final decision, which will be some weeks down the road. And in the interim, we will post this to our website for the public to have a look at. So we'll
Thank you,
table that.
Councillor Hillier. Yeah, and we'll file that, and of course, yeah, make it public, as you said. I want to thank the residents who came to the hearing and offered their concerns and their historic knowledge of what happened down there. And it sounds like from the recommendations within that all of that was considered with the idea of protecting the residents from their concerns and also the environment down there as well. And of course, that would have to be part of any prudent development going forward, and council will absolutely look at all of that and move forward with that recommendation. Thank you. And you have some recommendations coming up yourself.
Yes, Your Worship, coming out of our May 8th committee meeting. First recommendation, lost it, there we go. 67 to 69 Terminal Road. Be it so resolved that in accordance with sections 17, 18, and 22 of the town's fence regulations, application number 2668 dated April 17th, 2023 to construct a fence at 67 to 79 Terminal Road be approved on condition that barbed wire will only be permitted along the top of the fence, along the front and side property boundaries, where the fence height is at least 2.1 meters. And further, be it so resolved that the fence along the rear yard line have a maximum height of 1.8 meters. And further, be it so resolved that the front yard fence be permitted on the front lot line. So moved.
Seconder. Councillor Butler, discussion?
Yes, your worship, this is one of our industrial areas in the town, and one of the property owners there is seeking to put a security fence around the property. The back of the property abuts a residential property off Church Road, and that's why we're asking that the rear yard fence would only be 1.8 meters.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay, all in favor?
All right.
Contrary minded? Carried.
6B, Walker's Grove subdivision phase 2. Be it so resolved and in accordance with section 4.1 of the town's development regulations, application number 2227 to develop a 22 lot residential subdivision on a portion of 43 to 53A Hickory Place and 43 to 49 and 51 to 61 Pocket Road be approved in principle. And further, be it so resolved that the subdivision be serviced by a hybrid front yard wired utility system with aerial distribution and underground service lines, and that the applicant be required to convey to the town any residual land adjacent to 26 Pomeroy Place and the Pomeroy Place Road reservation so that its retention does not prejudice potential development of adjacent lands. So moved.
Seconder. Councillor Connors, discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Carried.
'52 to 60 Cabot Road. Be it so resolved that in accordance with section 6 of the town commercial motor vehicle regulations, application number 2694 received on April 21st, 2023, seeking approval to park a 9,000 kilogram commercial vehicle license plate CE5291 at 52 to 60 Cabot Road with access via Ewings Road be approved. So moved.
Is there a seconder? Oh, sorry, Councillor Connors. Discussion?
Yes, your worship, we have a property there that fronts on Cabot Road, and the rear doesn't front, but the rear is on the rear is on Ewings Road. So the gentleman wants to park his vehicle in the backyard.
Do we know what kind of vehicle it is? It's a big one.
It's a big one.
Yeah,
it's a big-
9,000 kilometers. Okay. All in favor?
All right.
Contrary minded? Carried.
Number 20 Dawes Hill Road. Be it so resolved that the request to amend the municipal plan and development regulations to accommodate use of a residential accessory building as a commercial automotive repair garage at 20 Dawes Hill Road be refused in consideration that the proposed use is inconsistent with character of the residential neighborhood. So moved.
Seconder. Councillor Morris, discussion? All in favor?
All right.
Contrary minded? Carried.
And 6F. Be it so resolved and in accordance with subsection 201.28 of the Municipality Act 1991, the town sell approximately 1,370 square meters of land within the former right of way for St. Peter's Road to the adjacent property owner, Hickey's Building Supplies Limited, for $2,000 plus expenses incurred by the town to facilitate the sale, in consideration that the land is of minimal value to any other person. So moved.
Seconder. Councillor Butler, discussion?
Yes, your
All in
worship.
fa- Oh, sorry, yeah.
If you can imagine the Hickey's Building Supplies, there in Upper Gully is really St. Peter's, what used to be St. Peter's Road and owned by the town, actually runs right up through their lumberyard. So they, really they're using that property now. The only problem is they want to build a larger warehouse and is unable to do so because we own St. Peter's Road. So we're selling this to Hickey so that they can expand their operation there.
Excellent, excellent. All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Carried.
Excuse me, Mayor Bent, the next item I am for the committee report, I will be in conflict, so I'm going to recuse myself. There was an application for discussion pertaining to my business.
Very good. Hey, Councillor Hillier.
Yes, your worship, the blanket recommendation. Be it so resolved that decisions and recommendations made at the Planning and Development Committee meeting of May 8, 2023 be accepted as presented with the topic so noted. So moved.
Seconder, Councillor Barrett, discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Carried.
Thank you, your worship. That's all from us. We'll have another batch next time around.
Good to hear. Keep it coming. Recommendations of Engineering and Public Works Committee, and I know Councillor Hardy's not here this evening, so it is Councillor Tilley.
Thank you, your worship. The following are recommendations that came from our Engineering Public Works Committee meeting held on May 10th. First one, 7A, was the approval to tender 2023 street upgrading, paving and sidewalks. Council is pleased again this year to go to tender with paving and sidewalk project. Sidewalks are continuing along Topsail Road and the Conception Bay Highway in school areas that are not included for bus stops. A full street list and sidewalk location will be available upon tender close and award once the work scope is confirmed. At this time, approximately 5,300 meters of paving and 600 meters of new sidewalk are expected in the town later on this year. So be it so resolved that the approval be given to call tender for the 2023 street paving, upgrading and sidewalk project. So moved.
Seconder, Councillor Barrett, discussion. Okay, pave them roads and build them sidewalks.
Yep.
All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Carried.
7B, I hate that I got to bring it up in May and summer's not even here yet. But it's the approval to tender supply and delivery of road salt. And of course, that's something that we have to do every year as part of our public works commitment. So I'll wait for my computer to load. Be it so resolved that approval be given to call tender for the supply and delivery of road salt. So moved.
Seconder, Councillor Moores, discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Carried.
And your worship, just before I read the blanket recommendation from our meeting, I want to touch on a few announcements and reminders to people. Residents are reminded that the Minnells Road upgrade project is expected to start next week. This is the fourth and final road of our collector roads that lead on to Peacekeepers Way. We have completed Fowler's Road, Legion and Lawrence Pond in the past. And of course, we're starting this work next week. So there will be significant traffic disruptions from certain times. So we strongly recommend that motorists use a alternate route. And I think that project is scheduled to last till well into the fall. So again, folks, short-term pain for better streets in CBS. So we kindly ask that people adhere to all the traffic signage in that area. And as well, winter control service snow clearing damages should be submitted to the town no later than the end of May for review and consideration. And our bulk garbage drop off, the next one for May is Saturday, the 27th at the Gateway Drive Storage Yard. And of course, our public works crews have already started road markings, which is line painting. That program began a few weeks ago. School zones currently are being addressed, followed by traffic light areas, controlled intersections. And again, you know, we've even though all of our folks are out and they got the high visibility clothing on, we please ask that you respect traffic control signage in those areas and watch out for workers in those reduced speed zones. So be it so resolved that the recommendations and decisions of the Engineering and Public Works Committee meeting held on May 10th, 2023 be accepted as presented. So moved.
Seconder, Deputy Mayor Goss, discussion. Road crew, they wrote doing painting in Topsail Elementary area today, which is good to see.
Good to
Good
see.
sign of spring. Anyone else all in favor? Contrary minded? Carried.
Thank you, Worship.
Thank you, Councillor Tilly. Recommendations of the Recreation and Leisure Services Committee, Councillor Moores.
Thank you, Mayor Bent. I just have a blanket statement, but I did just want to mention day camp registration. The Town of Conception Bay South Day Camp registration will take place starting Thursday, May 18th at 6 o'clock. So I know a lot of people are waiting for that. You can see a list of things that we discussed at our meeting, a few that I've already mentioned. Be it so resolved that the recommendations and decisions of the Recreation and Leisure Services Committee meeting of May 9th, 2023 be accepted as presented. So moved.
Seconder. Councillor Connors, discussion. All in favor?
All right.
Contrary minded? Carried. Thank you, Councillor
you.
Moores. Recommendations of Financial and Administrative Services Committee Chair Deputy Mayor Andrea Goss.
Thank you, Mayor Bent. Recommendations of Financial and Administrative Services Committee. Our first item is the accounts payable checks. Be it so resolved that approval be given to pay accounts payable checks totaling $145,056.07 as per the attached listing. So moved.
Seconder. Councillor Tilly, discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Carried.
9B, manual checks. Be it so resolved that approval be given to ratify the payment of manual checks totaling $28,692.52. So moved.
Seconder. Councillor Butler, discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Carried.
9C, direct payment register. Be it so resolved that approval be given to ratify direct payments totaling $460,159.55. So moved.
Seconder. Councillor Barrett, discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Carried.
9D is the capital invoice approval. Be it so resolved that approval be given to pay capital invoices totaling $36,732.15 as per the attached report. So moved.
Seconder. Councillor Hilliard, discussion.
These are just invoices for mostly for engineering fees.
All in favor? Contrary minded? Carried.
9E, tax and other.
Excuse me, before we move on, I have to declare a conflict on 9E. I have a relation with a person who's involved with one of the receivables, I suppose.
Thank you.
Tax and other receivables adjustments. Be it so resolved that approval be given to adjust tax and other receivable accounts as presented. So moved.
Seconder. Councillor Barrett, discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Carried. Councillor Connors.
And the last item is the department report. Be it so resolved that decisions and recommendations made at the Financial and Administrative Services Committee meeting of May the 10th, 2023 be accepted as presented. So moved.
Seconder. Councillor Butler, discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded? Carried.
Okay, that's it for the Finance and Administrative Services.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. And recommendations of Economic Development and Tourism, Chair Councillor Paul Connors.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Excuse me, Your Worship, the first item there, I have a conflict as I'm associated with one of the groups.
Okay, Councillor Connors.
These are the recommendations from our May 9th meeting. First one is the 2023 Heritage Grant Program. Be it so resolved that approval be given to provide grants totaling $14,500 to 6 municipally designated heritage properties within the town as follows: Miller House, at 2342 Topsail Road for $3,727. St. John the Evangelist Church, Church Terrace, at 1,723. St. Peter's Anglican Church, 1219 Conception Bay Highway, tour for $2,000. All Saints Anglican Parish Cemetery, 1 Oaks Lane for $2,000. Topsail United Church, 2426 Topsail Road, $3,000. And the Prince of Orange LOL Lodge, number 23, 12 Middlebright Road for $2,050. So moved.
Seconder. Counselor Morris, discussion?
Yes, annually we allocate funding under the Heritage Grant Program towards preserving the exterior features of designated heritage properties in our town. So we, following a call for proposals and an evaluation of the proposals received, we are pleased to provide funding to 6 designated heritage properties to offset some of the cost of maintaining heritage status for these properties.
All in favor? Contrary minded? Carried. Counselor Hillier.
And then 10B is our summary committee report, or the blanket report. Before I go into that, there's one thing that I just want to mention and invite our residents of our town to, is on behalf of Jennifer's Quilt Shop, I'm inviting residents to celebrate the grand opening of their retail shop in Conception Bay South. It will take place on Sunday, May 28th from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. with a ribbon cutting at 2 p.m. The shop is located at 2639 Topsail Road, Conception Bay South. And that might have been another school that Councillor Hillier went to.
Grade 8, your worship.
So the owners and staff are excited to show off their newly renovated space. They carry a variety of high quality fabrics, as well as they also provide sewing classes and quilting classes for all skill levels. There will be hourly prize draws, giveaways, there will be sales, and there will be discounts of products. And I'm not sure what it is, but they say there will be a large door prize given away at 4 p.m. So join them on May 28th to welcome this new business to our town. So the recommendation is, be it so resolved that the recommendations, decisions of the Economic Development Committee meeting of May 9th, 2023 be accepted as presented. List of discussion topics attached. So move.
Seconder. Counselor Barrett, discussion. It's always great to welcome a new business to Conception Bay South. I can't help but wonder if that big prize might be a quilt.
Now you might be after giving it away. Everybody out to get a quilt.
Yeah, that's right. I don't think. Anyway, thank you. Let's see, we need a vote, do we? Yes, all in favor?
Yes.
Contrary minded? Carried. Okay, thank you, Councillor Connors. Other committee reports. Does anybody have anything from outside committees? Yes, Councillor Moore.
We had a downtown CBS meeting on April 27th, which was prior to the last council meeting, but I wasn't at the last council meeting. So they tentatively have scheduled their member breakfast for September 21st from 8 to 10. So I just want to let everyone know about that. They also just recently decided that they were going to create committees for our board to be a part of to try and, I guess, speed things up and have things a little more organized. So those committees have been implemented. And I know I mentioned a couple meetings ago that they would be doing 50th anniversary flags throughout the community, but they've since decided that they're just going to have their regular ones that they're going to replace and not do the ones with the 50th anniversary. So those are just a few updates from that meeting. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Morris. Any other outside committees? Yes, Councillor Barrett.
Yes, your worship, on April 26th, I was on the last council meeting as well. So carrying this forward, on April 26th, we had a Parks Commission meeting. In terms of some of the new business, Councillor Butler already mentioned the job fair. where the town with the Parks Commission was looking to hire a couple of folks for the summer. And so certainly those individuals and a number of other of our interns and Conservation Corps will be doing some important work for the town over the summer. That's pretty much the biggest piece. Thanks, Your Worship.
Thank you, Councillor Barrett. Is that the last committee report? Okay. Well, I'll say that our next meeting is June the 6th and wish everyone a happy and safe May 24th weekend. And I will ask for adjournment motion from Councillor Tilley, seconded by Councillor Barrett. All in favor? Aye. Thank you and good night. What's that? It's not June 6th? June 13th, sorry, summer hours, isn't it, right? So we're skipping to June 13th. June 13th, folks. Thank you.